today is Bacopa. Bacopas, how are we doing today? You'd rather be in a hanging basket. Well, that's a very honest answer. Thank you for being so honest with us. We have a few remaining questions here before our program ends for the week. Tomato at the end there. Earlier we asked you how you would feel if Bacopa was growing near you. And you answered, not bad. Can you elaborate, please? Your chances of pollination would probably increase. The bees love Bacopa. Alright, next question. This one's for the bleeding heart. Well, with your beautiful heart-shaped flowers, how do you feel about the Latin name of Bacopa, Sutera cordata? Cordata meaning heart-shaped. Yes, of course you wouldn't mind. Do you ever feel like Bacopa may be stealing your thunder? Of course not. I wouldn't expect anything else. Our last question is a viewer question out of Cleveland, Ohio. Tracy asks, Plectranthus, how would you feel if Bacopa self-seeded in your area? What? It's a blunt question, Tracy. Plectranthus, what do you have to say? Yeah, I suppose it is a bit of a pointless question. You do have different light requirements, and you wouldn't really be growing in the same area. There you have it, folks. Blunt answer for a blunt question. As always, thanks for watching, folks, and tune in next week for The Plants Speak. Phainostoma cordata or Sutera cordata are synonymous Latin names for ornamental Bacopa. Not to be confused with the actual Bacopa genus. If you've ever seen like Bacopa on a supplement label or in a health food store claiming neurological regenerative stuff, that is a different plant. That is Bacopa monieri, okay? Different plant. Just in case you're wondering. Our ornamental Bacopa here acts as an annual below zones 9. 9 to 11, it's kind of a perennial ground cover, which is really cool. If you live in one of those zones, you're so lucky. It's in the figwort family. Scrophulariaceae. Sounds kind of like a Muppet family. Some people call it trailing phlox, which is also confusing because phlox is a different plant and it's not in the same family or anything. Seeds for Sutera cordata are probably not that easy to find, but there are 3 that I know of that are relatively popular. They're all kind of hybrids with topia names. Topia, pinktopia, bluetopia, snowtopia. Not sure. Most people will just pay $3 for a seedling from a garden center, but the nice thing is if you do grow from seed, the germination period is pretty short. So if you start indoors, 8-ish weeks before your last frost, you'll see seedlings pop up within a couple weeks, which is nice for a flower. The most important thing to know about seeding is don't cover the seeds or the multi-pellets that you might get in a package. Just press them firmly into the soil. They need the light to germinate and keep them moist. You could even put a plastic dome over them to create sort of a greenhouse effect. And then whether you bought seedlings from a garden center or you're growing your own, when your plants are ready to transplant and harden off, whether you're doing them in containers or in the ground, definitely give them some space. Like 10 inches is really generous because they do like to spread and trail. The foliage of Bacopa is pretty awesome. The leaves grow opposite along the stem, and the leaf margins are serrated or toothed. The leaves do have like teeny tiny hairs on them, on both the underside and the top. It's probably a defense mechanism. That's just my guess. The growth habit of ornamental Bacopas are mounding and trailing. And as mentioned before, Bacopa loves hanging baskets, and it is awesome as a spiller. If you don't know about the spiller, filler, thriller technique for containers, look up my salvia coccinea video. I explain it in depth in there. The link is below in the description if you're interested at all in that. Whoa, look, these guys really do want to get out of their containers. They're shooting roots out. I better go plant these guys. You can imagine how beautiful this would be as a ground cover. Whew. Bacopa flowers are always less than 1 inch in diameter, and they'll always have sort of star-like 5 petals or rays. There is an unmistakable yellow tube in the center of each flower base. Bacopa flowers are perfect, or monoecious is kind of the better term. And all that means is in each little yellow center tube, they have both sexual parts. Lots of plants monoecious. The colors you can get are sort of purplish, pinkish, white. Those are kind of the most typical. People are always after stuff like snowstorm, lavender shower, African sunset. They have absolutely no scent, so if you're looking for a flower that smells good, don't buy Bacopa. Probably one of the biggest perks of buying Bacopa over other flowers is their long bloom time. They'll just bloom all season, from their first blooms all the way till frost. And because of this trailing habit, Bacopa is awesome for hanging baskets. Here's the other perk that you can get out of very few flowers. They're self-cleaning. Don't you wish everyone was? So what that means is you don't have to deadhead. They will, if the flowers are done, they'll just dry up and fall off, and new flowers will grow all season long. Super low maintenance. People love this. They're like, oh my god, I don't have to deadhead? Great. I don't know. I find like one of the most peaceful things to do is like sit on your porch on a hot summer evening and deadhead your petunias or whatever. Water is super important for Bacopa flowers because an interesting thing about them is when they're thirsty, they don't wilt. Most flowers will wilt, and it's kind of the telltale of like, oh, it needs some water. So I recommend kind of planting them with another plant that does wilt really easily, especially if it's in a hanging basket. Hanging baskets have a lot of ambient air, okay, so they dry out a lot faster. Coleus or petunias, something that'll let you know, like, time to water. If your Bacopa is in a hanging basket and it's like a 30-degree scorching day, take it down and give it some shade. I mean, if you forget, it's pretty forgiving. It might get super scorched and drop its blooms if you forget to water, but give it a couple weeks and it'll shoot right back. If you're planting in the ground, Bacopa does make a great bedding plant. It's great for rock gardens. Imagine this just cascading off a rock. It's a full sun to part shade plant. Pretty versatile in terms of filling gaps. It might be just the thing you need for that space that just needs something. You know, it's too bare. Maybe Bacopa. Should that be the catchphrase of this video? Maybe Bacopa. All in all, super low maintenance plant. You don't even have to deadhead them. You could grow nemesia, you could grow phlox, but hey, they don't clean themselves. Maybe Bacopa. Maybe Bacopa. Maybe Bacopa. Maybe Bacopa.